You don't actually decide most things. You just feel like you did. Right now, your brain is nudging you toward some choices and quietly hiding others. Not with logic, not with reason, but with dopamine. And no, dopamine is not happiness. That's the biggest lie about the brain. If dopamine were happiness, scrolling for 2 hours would make you feel amazing after. Instead, you feel empty, confused, and a little mad at yourself. So what's really going on? Dopamine is the "this matters" chemical. It decides what grabs your attention, what feels worth effort, and what gets ignored. Think of dopamine like a spotlight on a dark stage. Whatever it lights up feels important. Everything else might as well not exist. And here's the scary part. You don't control that spotlight. Let's start with a simple question. Have you ever gone to the kitchen for water and somehow ended up opening the fridge, checking your phone, and forgetting why you went there? That wasn't you being dumb. That was dopamine taking a detour. Your brain constantly asks one question. What should I care about next? And dopamine answers it. Every notification, every like, every small reward, dopamine spikes, and your brain goes, "Ooh, that's interesting. Remember this." Not because it made you happy, because it was novel, quick, and easy. That's why your phone feels magnetic. It's not addicting because it's useful. It's addicting because it keeps triggering dopamine in tiny, unpredictable bursts. Your brain loves unpredictable rewards. That's why slot machines exist, and why social media feels impossible to put down. Now here's where dopamine quietly hijacks your decisions. Most people think decisions happen like this. Think, choose, act. In reality, it's more like feel pulled, act, explain later. You didn't decide to procrastinate. You felt resistance, dopamine offered relief, and your body moved. Then your brain says, yeah, I planned this. Sure you did. Dopamine doesn't ask what's good for you. It asks what worked before. So if avoiding work reduced stress once, dopamine remembers that. Next time stress shows up, dopamine highlights avoidance. That's how habits form. Not through motivation, through relief. That's also why motivation feels unreliable. Motivation isn't broken, it's just not getting dopamine support. Think about it. Watching a video gives instant stimulation. Starting a hard task gives uncertainty. Dopamine hates uncertainty. So the easy thing feels right, and the important thing feels heavy. Not because it is, but because your brain isn't lighting it up. Here's a funny example. Ever notice how suddenly cleaning your room feels urgent right when you're supposed to do something harder? That's dopamine going, I don't care what we do, just not that. Busy feels productive, but it's just dopamine choosing comfort over progress. Now let's talk about food because food exposes dopamine perfectly. Eating something sweet gives instant reward. Cooking a healthy meal gives delayed reward. Your body wants health. Your dopamine wants now. So guess who wins? This doesn't mean you have no discipline. It means your dopamine system was trained for the wrong rewards. And training is the key word. Dopamine doesn't control you by force. It controls you through patterns. Every time you repeat a behavior and get a reward, dopamine strengthens that pathway. Soon, the decision feels automatic. You don't choose to open the app. You notice it's already open. That's dopamine on autopilot. And once something becomes automatic, your brain saves energy by not questioning it. That's why bad habits feel easy and good habits feel like swimming upstream. because dopamine paved a road in one direction. Now here's the thing nobody tells you. Dopamine doesn't just shape your actions. It shapes your identity. If your brain keeps highlighting distraction, you start believing you're unfocused. If it highlights comfort, you start believing you're lazy. If it highlights quick wins, long-term goals feel unrealistic. Not because they are, but because dopamine stopped highlighting them. That's why people say, I just don't feel like myself anymore. You are yourself. Your spotlight just moved. Here's the good news. Dopamine is not evil. It's neutral. It doesn't care if it's training you for growth or for comfort. It only responds to reward timing. If good behaviors feel boring, they won't stick. If bad behaviors feel rewarding, they'll dominate. So instead of fighting yourself, you redesign the system. You give good habits small, immediate rewards. You make bad habits slightly harder. You stop flooding your brain with constant stimulation. Not forever, just enough to reset the spotlight. Because once dopamine starts highlighting effort, discipline feels natural again. Focus stops feeling forced. Decisions feel clearer. Not because you became stronger, but because your brain finally started pointing in a better direction. So next time you say, why do I keep doing this? Remember, it's not a character flaw. It's a chemical suggestion you've been accepting without question. And the moment you understand that, you don't just change your habits, you take control of the spotlight again.